Welcome to the chaos.
It's a rolling start. Let's go. Okay, brother, you know
Wait,
what?
was that a joke on me?
No, it's no joke on anybody. You know what we're waiting to say for quite a while?
Please.
What up, everybody, and welcome back to the chaos.
We're back, baby.
I'm excited.
My goodness, it feels like it's been a year.
It almost
it has been a
It
year.
kind of almost has been a year.
It has been a year.
But a lot of wild shit has happened throughout the year, though.
So much shit.
And I think the cool thing is people can see us now,
Oh my God, what is that?
right? So now everybody gets to see all the beautiful people we have on this show, and you could put a face to the stories. See, I think we need to introduce ourselves because everybody now gets to see what we look like.
Exactly.
What's up, everybody? My name's Mikey Tableman.
What's up? My name is Danny J. Gomez.
We are so excited to bring you back Chaos Controlled for season 2. And I think the coolest thing about this is 2 years ago, this was an idea. Last year, we started on this project. We started filming. We put it out in the audio. Both of us this past year, as well as Nick, had a lot of really cool things that have happened, and we're just kind of leveling up. So we thought taking the podcast was going to the next level was the next best thing for us to do. So we added the video, created the new studio. We have new partners with us that we're very excited to work with.
How about this backdrop, y'all?
I like it.
I love it.
It looks cool.
I feel like I'm in the back alley behind the club.
A lot
Right?
of
Is that
things-
where we're at?
I mean, there are a lot of things that happen in the back alley behind the club.
So many things.
That's a lot of stuff we can't start talking about yet. But,
I just had a wonderful memory.
and we'll get to all those soon, but I think the coolest thing that we wanted to talk about is, how many things have happened to us in the past, year? Like, you just filmed, I want to hear about what happened with you in Boston, because you just got done with a really cool play that you just did.
Well, I mean, to start off, the end of last year, I missed out on back-to-back big opportunities, film-wise, career-wise, and it put me in this huge state of depression towards the end of the year. And then, during the holidays, you're either really happy or you're really sad for some reason. And I was really sad because I felt like my career was on a standstill. And then I told myself in the beginning of January that I was going to level up everything. So I was like, this is going to be the year. And then February passed, nothing was coming, nothing was being booked. And then for some reason in March, it was like the universe was playing a cruel joke on me because they were like, you wanted all this? Well, here it is. And they just threw back to back to back to back projects where some things I had to miss. I had to work around. But I did a fashion show. I shot a TV show. I shot a film. And then after that, I went to Massachusetts to do a play for a first run of a theater production.
Man, this boy was busy.
Yeah, but it's crazy. When you don't know what the world is ready to throw at you,
No.
so you have to be patient and not.
But you got to stay consistent because, like you said, there was nothing really going on for a lot of people in this industry in hospitality that are also actors, musicians, artists. You waiting for that break, and it becomes so frustrating. Where a lot of people would just be like, "Yo, fuck this! I'm gonna go back to doing something else. I'm not leveling up the way I want to," and kind of regress.
Right.
But you being through this road multiple times, yo, you have to stay consistent. Stay ready. You ain't gotta get ready.
Yeah, the worst thing is quitting, because you might have just quit right before something big was gonna happen. You know what I mean?
Well, people, it's a constant saying, but you don't ever fail. You give up.
Exactly.
Because if you fail, you're just getting up and doing it again, and you're just learning from your experience. But most people just give up and then don't want to do it anymore, which is really understanding. This is a really fucking tough industry all around. On the one side, being an artist, you're getting rejected 24/7 because, let's be real, it happens a lot. You book one out of every maybe 100 fucking auditions.
Absolutely.
1 out of 50, and then you got to go to work and have people just shitting on your life and being rude and mean to you, but you got to take it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's kind of frustrating, but I get it. But, yo, man, it's fucking great to hear. It was so awesome getting to call you, throughout the year. Because we haven't really got to see each other much since we stopped shooting. Because my life got crazy as the Knicks. So, this is the first time me and you have actually kicked it in about, 6 months.
It's been a minute.
It's been a minute. But it was really cool to, just check in with you every once in a while. I'd be like, yo, what are you doing? You catch me up and fill me in on what's going on. I'm like, fucking proud of my boy, man. It's super dope.
It was crazy. I was definitely blessed, the middle of the year, and seeing the hard work pay off, and like we said, not giving up, and just working back to back that was truly a blessing. And in that we were talking about what we were going to do with Chaos Controlled, and fortunately we were busy.
Yeah.
But unfortunately we were busy that we couldn't do what we're doing right now, which is sitting here with the video and our actual production company backing us. And let's hear about what your year was like.
Dude, my year was insanity. So we dropped off right before the festival run kicked off. And I probably had the craziest festival run I've ever had. I had 6 shows in 5 weeks in 5 different cities across the country. One of them was EDC Vegas, which was the biggest show in the world. We had record sales, record people. It was exhausting. I was literally driving to Vegas, flying to DC, flying back to LA, driving back to Vegas, doing a day show into a night show. I mean, it was really cool. One of the festivals I got to do was that Lovers and Friends Festival, which was probably one of the coolest experiences I've had at a music festival, because I've never seen a lineup like that, and they had mirror stages. So when one person did a 20-minute set, it went back to the other stage for another 20-minute set. But the coolest thing was like it was everything from like our high school days. So it was like Ja Rule and Ashanti.
Oh,
it was TLC. It was Ludacris, Usher, Nelly. Like all the throwbacks. Like we just had such a blast. But that part was like, really tough because it was just so exhausting. I went from 0 to 200 in like a second. And just, it was exhausting. And I was so depressed on a lot of different, it was really challenging to get through because like we've talked about, and anybody who's been in the hospitality industry in this event life can tell you how exhausting it is and how much it takes out of you. So to do it for fucking that long and then have a little bit of a break, but I didn't really get a break because then after that, I threw my second Alchemy event.
Yeah.
Which was
amazing.
Thank you. Which was also crazy to think about. 2 years ago, also, that was just an idea, and I was telling you about all the things we want to do. The first one was awesome, one of the coolest fucking nights of my life. I can't remember if we stopped before the first one happened, but I think everybody walked in not knowing what to expect, and it was such an incredible vibe. I was so grateful, so blessed. Like, over 300 people showed up, and I was, like, crying, like, I don't think anyone's going to come. Like, I think it's going to fucking flop all day, and thankfully it didn't. And then everybody just kept on asking, like, yo, when's the next one? When's the next one? And then we took it to Academy, which has kind of come full circle to me because that's where I started with SBE and Create. But then we just took the production to the next level. We took all the fucking artists, the way everything went, food, merch, having a cannabis sponsor was really cool. So, like, it was just so awesome. But it was definitely different to see. The first one was more euphoric. The second one was like, all right, this is work because my dream is happening. But if I don't fucking keep my foot on the gas, this isn't going to unfold the way I want it to unfold.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of that. I was in the studio. I was working on the book, getting a little bit of a break and getting to just kind of be myself and be a kid. But, like, I don't think I've ever felt so comfortable in my own shoes. And you talked about leveling up. That was the goal. And it just seems that everything is on the come up right now, which is super cool. And I'm extremely grateful.
Well, and I feel like something that's different this year that was different from the years before that we talked about working in nightlife was that you actually had something to come back to after the festivals were done. You weren't just coming back to an empty apartment with nothing else going on. Like, you had your business, your book, you had your relationship. So mentally, I think that's better. That was better for you.
Oh, 100%.
Even though you felt some depression during the shows, which is natural.
Which is natural, but it was really cool to have like you said, when I would come home, because what a lot of people don't understand with a lot of these jobs that we have, and especially what I do at the capacity, at the level I do it at, is the overstimulation for those 5-6 weeks was like trying to remember a million different things, having so many different employees asking you for different stuff, having to be on 24/7. I was so fucking drained and exhausted, and I'm going to keep repeating that so people don't realize, what actually goes into these things. But when you're on the up, you got to come down. So when I come home and I have nothing to focus on, no one to spend time with, and I would just sit here by myself, you deep dive.
Yeah.
And it gets, really, really dark, and there's a lot of edibles, a lot of shitty food, which has taken a toll on me too, because I actually also found out I had some medical issues, so I had to stop drinking, which has probably been one of the best things that ever happened.
Oh, really?
And I feel so much better. I had to change my whole diet up, but it's funny, we talked about the universe. It's I wanted all these things, but I wasn't really ready for them. Mentally, I'm in a good spot, but physically, if you don't balance it out, it's not going to work. So the universe is all right, do you really want what you're going for? You got to change on the spot. I was like, all right, fuck it, let's do it. And I've never felt healthier. I've never felt more confident, better. So that's been really cool.
So you had to work the when did you find out about the drinking thing? Was that after the festivals?
Yeah, that was after the festival run. This was maybe like 3 months ago, 4 months ago. But it's been like I've always wanted to stop drinking, but it's really hard to do in the industry we're in. Like, well, we're in. I'm in. Used to be in. Like everybody's just like, yo, you want a shot? You want this? You want that? You're out and about. And when all the booze and food is free, and back in the day when all the drugs were free too, it was just fucking balls to the wall on our end.
Right. Now you know what you're kind of missing without the alcohol.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just I'm much clearer.
Yeah. Like now I think about feeling what I'm gonna feel like the next day.
Oh, absolutely.
Before I take my first, I'm like, do I really want to feel like that?
No. I went out to an event last night. It was a lot of fun with a bunch of people I haven't seen in a while, and everyone was just drinking and enjoying themselves. And I'm like, no, we're shooting tomorrow, and I'm fucking so excited because we've been waiting for this. I'm like, I'm not even gonna do it at 10:30. I shitty dipped out.
Nice.
It's always my go-to move.
Shitty dip.
Shady
That's
dip.
a new one. Oh, it's
shady dip. Shady dip. The Irish goodbye.
I thought you said shitty dip.
Nah,
like, that's a new one right there, dude.
I feel like that's when you that's like if you shit your pants.
I need to fix this. Oh man, we've all been there.
It happens.
You just shitting dipping all over.
Yeah. And we're back. So you shady dipped.
Shaded about because like I think now that we're starting to see everything we've worked so hard for starting to take off, it's like I'm so locked in, and I'm looking for any type of passive income, any type of opportunity. I feel like when I'm out now, it's like my head's always on a swivel. It's like, okay, how can I, if I have a lot of these connections and relationships, and a lot of people will be friends with me because what I can get them into. So it's like, all right, cool. If this is going to be transactional, we're going to make this transactional on both sides now.
Yeah.
So it's just been really cool to kind of navigate that whole, and everybody's been really helping us out, and we just keep like leveling up.
Man, I just had this random. That's awesome that you're you're using
We
that.
both are.
And it sucks to get a diagnosis where they tell you have to cut something out of your life that you has been part of your life for so long.
Yeah.
But then to see the rewards that you reap from that, especially with alcohol. I mean,
dude, I don't even I tried to I haven't had a drink in a few months, and I was out with some friends, and I was like, let me just try a beer, and I just didn't enjoy it.
Right.
I went and got ice cream, which was my go-to every time I get high. I was like, this is gross. So it's kind of wild how after, was it 21 days to form a habit? After my body was kind of cleansed because I did a whole cleanse with it, I was completely all of this shit doesn't taste good anymore. I don't crave soda. I don't want to drink. So it's been really, it's been super helpful to the growth, the mind, especially with the mindset. Because I'm learning now, if you're you have to be balanced physically, mentally, spiritually. All that alignment can really take you to some wild places.
Absolutely. I want to talk about food because I follow your Instagram stories when you're working the festivals, and this dude always has some random shit.
That was never meant to be a thing. Yeah, I would have my friends yo, we just want to go at you places because I don't go for the drinks. I don't go for the DJs. I go for the snacks.
The snacks.
So there's always snacks. People are yo, how the fuck did you get a pizza in the club? I'm I just ordered it, went out to the rope, and brought it back in. What the?
Yes.
So it's kind of become my thing. So now anytime I'm out, even when I was out last night, I had a milkshake and a churro in my hand. And all of a sudden, video, all my friends' cameras, phones start coming out because they're oh, no, we got to get a video. I'm all right, this is the thing now for everybody else, but I guess I'm going along with it.
Yeah, it's the thing.
That's not really how I wanted to make my mark, but if that's how I go viral, fuck it.
This dude's literally in pajamas and he has his munchies with him in the club.
I work in sweatpants. Yeah, I go to the club in sweatpants. I think it's... Bro, that's my style. I love my sweatpants, my hoodies, my J's, and that's how I'm going to go out places. I don't give a fuck. But yeah, people will definitely give me a weird look when I'm sitting in the DJ booth behind a massive DJ and I have a fucking Domino's box with me sitting in a hoodie and sweatpants and a hat. So I definitely stick out, but I don't really give a shit.
Fucking Domino's, boy.
Nah,
they're making a comeback.
No, I hate Domino's.
Every now and then.
No, I hate Domino's. Bro, being from New York, Domino's pizza is awful. No,
yeah.
No, you just can't do it. But I think the other cool part, besides the two of us on this come up and level up, we miss our buddy Nick Dewars, who's not here right now with us, but it's because this man is literally getting booked on tour to sound mix for some really cool acts, and he's literally been all over the world. He was in Europe, so super proud of Nick too, man. Every time we check in with him, he seems to be in a different city. He took 2 weeks to backpack through Europe. He's definitely gotten some really cool life experiences, and I can't wait when he's back so we can hear more about it because we got to interrogate him.
I mean, this dude has like his meme, like a own. Like,
yeah, he's got an own meme. Yeah, who is Nick Dewars?
He got stickers and
who
shit.
the fuck is Nick Dewars? And it's posted all over the place now. And it's like, again, like me with the snacks, I don't think that's what he really wanted.
Right.
But, you gotta take what you get.
Yeah, he blew, like, it's awesome. We started this and we were all kind of like, yeah, I'm kind of doing this and I have this project, but we weren't really busy besides like, you were working the festivals and stuff. Nick and I were just, Nick was looking for work and I was doing little things here and there. And then like the next year, it just, everybody blew up.
Yeah.
And it's weird that it happened coincidentally after the three of us started working together and talking about, maybe it was like all the manifestation that we were doing subconsciously while we were working doing this.
I mean, power in numbers is like we were all working on this together. Like we've talked about, we think this is a great way for us, especially both as activists. It's a great way to have a platform for us to discuss more on what we really feel passionate about and the changes we want to make in the world and the ways we want to help people. So I think, with the three of us really working hard together and putting so much good energy out there, it's starting to come back. And I think that's what we've all been looking for quite a while.
Yeah.
It's like, knock on wood.
Yeah, seriously. And one thing I was thinking about when I made a little CVS run for this wonderful beverage that I'm sipping on here. I was I was like looking for it and I started thinking about the things that I loved about this podcast and what we were doing. And I was getting a chance to have conversations with my friends. And I really that really lacks in my life.
Yeah.
And I found that out when I got back from Massachusetts and I was doing the play and I was hanging out with the cast. And when I got back to LA, it was like my phone disappeared. And I was, I had no one to talk to besides my family. And that was kind of sad, and like,
definitely.
So I'm like, I can't wait. Now I'm getting excited to be able to talk to you guys again and share what's going on.
Yeah. And like, I think the cool part is every time we put out a new episode, I would get texts from people like, yo, that was hysterical, or yo, can I come on? And the coolest thing about this as we've gotten closer to coming back is the amount of people I've ran into, because I haven't really been out and about, but like I've bounced around, gone, visited different places. The amount of people that are like, yo, when's your podcast coming back? And I'm like, it's so cool. Or like, I've had people come up to me, or like, I'll get introduced by a friend and be like, oh yeah, that's Mike. Oh, remember I told you to listen to his podcast? Like, oh my God, I think your show's hysterical. I'm like, well, thank you. We think it's funny too. That's why we keep doing it.
Right. That's so cool and then when I went to your second,
Alchemy event.
The Alchemy event, and people were saying like, oh, we love your podcast. When is it coming back? Like, I don't really hang out. I don't really go out to bars or clubs anymore. So I don't get the firsthand our audience, but to be there and like have people physically come up and say they liked it, like that. It's so like, oh wow, we're touching people. You know what I mean?
And I think one of the coolest parts, and we've talked about this, is we released I think like 35 episodes last season, but we recorded like 50.
Yeah.
And we knew all 50 people in that chair, whether we knew them in depthly or we knew them just more in passing. But it's like, I learned something new about each and every one of those people that I had no idea they were struggling with, no idea that was on their mind. And it's just cool because we got to get a lot closer with those individuals. And some of those people I haven't seen in a while, it kind of like rekindled our friendship.
Yeah. Yeah, it was cool to learn that, we were all going through the same thing. And I think with season 2, we want to level that up and let's talk about what the goal is for season 2.
Definitely. So the goal, obviously, having the new executive team coming in and Daymaker Productions. Productions was to really expand our horizons. So we're going to start shortening seasons down where it comes more to like, 16 to 24 episodes a season, a little break, and then continue to keep coming out. But we really want to take this idea of Chaos Controlled, and we started to do it last season, but branch out way beyond just hospitality. Like the concept of Chaos Controlled is right now the world is shit. And it's so fucked, but there's so many people that want to make a difference and are trying to keep going even though we keep on getting pushed down and it's just getting tougher, it seems. But everybody is dealing with their own sort of mental chaos, whether they want to talk about it or not. So even if people don't want to really talk about what they're going through, some people have told me it's been really cool to listen just so I can hear that I'm not alone. And it feels like I'm part of the conversations with you guys. Or I've had some people like, yo, man, I wish I could talk to my friends the way you and Danny are so open and able to have conversations with each other. So I think the goal is just to be more, focus more on different avenues. We want to go live. So we're looking to do in different cities. We're looking to do some at some alchemy events. So we're really looking to do some cool things and bring on some really cool guests.
Yeah, it would be fun to visit different cities and talk to, let's say we go to a different bar or club or something, and we get their perspective on what it's like working in their city.
Yeah.
Right there, present time. But yeah, one of the things I'm excited about is like you said, we're gonna reach out to different industries. Like I want to know what the 9-to-5ers crazy story is. Like if something crazy happened in there, because I can imagine you working Monday through Friday. And we used to deal with this our clients or like people come into clubs. They're usually like the 9-to-5ers Monday through Friday, and they come in and they fall out on the weekend. So I know that inside of their workplace, there's got to be funny shit happening after that weekend is over.
I mean, and some of them complain like how boring it is. So it's like you got to do things to entertain yourself.
Right.
But I mean, I think, like you said, it'd be really cool to go there to cities and even outside of just big cities that we're used to. Like, I feel like if we were to go to Miami or Vegas or New York, we'd get a lot of similar stories. But I want to hear somewhere like Middle America. Like, what's it like bartending in a bar in Nashville?
Right.
What's it like with the up and coming hospitality scene in Denver?
Yes.
Things like that would be cool because I think it's a much different perspective, but everyone can really relate.
I know. I would love to go home in New Orleans because
that
working there, I mean, I had crazy stuff happen to me here, but working in New Orleans in the bars, like, it's like no other.
A big thing is how we're going to actually push the social and the marketing, which is something Nick was very upset with us about, rightfully so, on the last season. But that's a big thing that Sophia and Zeke are really going to help us with. So I think there's going to be a lot of new people listening. And, with word spreading. So I think we should kind of give a background on, how we got into this podcast, but where it all started for you. Like, just a little, sum up, just like we ask everybody who gets on the show. Someone put you on the hot seat real quick.
Oh, it's feeling hot. I can't feel my butt, but...
Go. I mean, that's...
Yeah. And I make that joke because I have a spinal cord injury, so I can't really feel below the waist. So if the seat is hot, you got to let me know because I won't know. But it's cool because people are listening and they're watching now. So it's cool that that people can actually see us and see who we are and everything like that. But to make a long story short, I got a job on Bourbon Street working at a restaurant as a barker, where I was one of those people who had just hold the menu. Hey, you want to see what we got in a restaurant?
Wait, what's that called?
It's a barker.
So you literally just walk up. I've never seen this. You just walk up and show the menu?
You hang out outside of your restaurant with like your menu open like this, and you literally you were almost like a salesperson. Because there were so many restaurants on Bourbon Street at the time that you would literally have to persuade people to come into your restaurant.
Isn't that like what a sign's for? So you just go read what's in there?
I mean, I hated that job, dude, because I'm not a talker. I'm not a salesperson.
Really?
No.
Okay.
No. Unless, I guess they were paying me. No, but I was terrible at the time. Anyways, so...
Your charisma definitely developed.
I think... And the only reason I moved up is because a bunch of people quit and they're like, we need some servers. So they put me on the wait staff and I excelled at that. I was better at serving food because I think it just came naturally being hospitable to people and making sure they were having a good time. And then I moved up to bartending because a bartender quit and I was just thrown behind the bar. And I literally that's how I learned. I had the menu open, making drinks. I never liked to show people I didn't know what a drink, what was in a drink. So if they asked me, one time somebody asked me, make me an old fashioned. I was like, what the hell is that? And I was like, excuse me, I'm gonna go to the restroom. And I ran to the other bar and I was like, what's an old fashioned? And that's how I kind of learned. But from
trial
there,
by fire.
Yeah, exactly. I spent 6 years working on Bourbon Street. And when I started, I was 17. So I was completely green. I didn't know anything about this nightlife industry. I didn't really drink that much. And then 2 DUIs later and many crazy times, I was pretty deep into the bar scene in New Orleans and just slowly ruining my life. You know what I mean? And then Hurricane Katrina hit, and that kicked me in the ass to get out of there because we lost our home. And I ended up in LA, and I kind of fell back into it later on. But that's another story. But that was kind of what my New Orleans experience was. So at a young age, I was exposed to the bar scene and the partying all the time and getting in trouble. And I thought that I'd learned from my mistakes, but
Takes a while to learn.
Yeah, it takes a while
to learn.
But that's how I ended up in Los Angeles. And I came out to be an actor, and I started out really well. And I told myself, Danny, you're not going to get back into the service industry because you know what's going to happen. And sure enough, after like a year of being here and being broke and trying to pay for an apartment, somebody offered me a restaurant job, and I begrudgingly took it. And next thing you know, I'm working for one of the biggest nightclub companies in the world, making thousands of dollars and saving none of it. And now here we are.
There's a lot
There's
of things that happen in between.
We have a lot of season to go, so I'm not going to give out all the good tiddly bits. So what about you, Michael Tableman?
Similar. I started back bartending when I was around 17 in New York. That's where you can bartend with a license. I had to go to like actual bartending school to get one of those. Started bartending in a couple of clubs, 18 to get in, 18 to drink kind of thing. Back in New York, did a couple of pubs, and then around 23, I was like, I need to get the fuck out of here. Never been to California. One of my boys that I used to bartend with moved out here, did a reality show. I was like, all right, fuck it, I'm coming. Got here in December. He worked for the same nightlife company too. Got me in. I started at one of the nightclubs for a little while. Bounced around, met you, Sophia at Greystone. That's how we kind of operated our whole entire aspect. And then kind of things just kind of went from there. I was lucky enough to kind of get like a nightlife adopted by like a really cool group of people that I'm so thankful for, that showed me the ropes, introduced me to people, took me to a lot of the crazy wild parties that I got to go to. Met some other amazing people who brought me onto the Insomniac realm. I moved up from there very quickly and bring me to where I am now, being the director of ops for all the Skydecks around the world for, a lot of the Insomniac shows. I do a lot of the big C3 events now. I got to bring my team and my people with me. So same thing. It sounds all good in theory, but there's a lot of things we can get to in this season that'll kind of, go through some of the really dark times that I've been through and why my foundation started and really why we're doing this podcast. Because, the both of us battled some really dark demons,
Absolutely.
A lot of addiction was a very big problem for me. And, it took us a really long time to kind of get through it.
Yeah.
But outlets like this is kind of the cool thing because, once everything really went downhill for me, it's like, I need to talk to somebody about this. And then I found out more people were way more willing to talk about it than I thought. And that's well, in between, we'll get to that, but that's kind of how we ended up with the show here. It's because we just really feel like people, men as a big thing, but then a lot of people in our industry are really dealing with it. So it's like we need to talk to people. Because when they're going to hear some of the stories that we tell and, we really get into the nitty gritty, I think people are going to be shocked because most of them, tell me not, all my friends back home and everyone's like, yo, your life looks nice. You're at parties in the hills. You're all over the world, these crazy clubs doing all these things. And they're not knowing how depressed, exhausted, down and out, strung out I was.
Hopeless feeling.
How much I hated life, tried to take my own life. Like, that's when you hit some really, really dark places. But just to, let everybody know when we do talk about these things, we are very, very tasteful. We understand that some of the things we talk about may be triggers for certain people, but that's not what we're trying to do here. We're trying to help people understand that they're not the only ones struggling and dealing with some of these things, and maybe give them a bit of information that can help ease their pain or help get them through some of these tough times that we're having.
Yeah, and if you are just tuning into season 2, episode 1, or table 101 or 201, whatever you're gonna call it, we do have a whole season that we did, and you can backtrack, start from there, and you'll see how we started. Just listen to us, the progression of the show, and you'll get there's a lot of stories that we tell about our life.
Well, and, what was one of your favorite? Like, I got a couple that I've listened to several times over, but I think there were some really, especially if you haven't listened to us before, what are 2 or 3 that you would recommend for some of our viewers who haven't heard last season to really check out? Because let's be real, some people aren't going to listen to all 38 episodes, but there are definitely some that should get it. They're all great, don't get me wrong, all these people that came on were amazing, but there's definitely a few that are very sentimental and stuck out to me.
Oh man, just off the top, Amy's
the golden rod.
Yeah, we started talking about because one of our guests was in porn.
She wasn't in porn.
She produced.
She was She was the social media manager of AVN. Very different than producing or doing porn.
Hey, she's still in the porns doing some. She's not doing the porn. That's not what I'm saying. But she is around she's doing social media for the porn.
Yeah. She throws the AVN awards. So she throws the porn awards.
Yeah. So she's mixed up in there. But I mean, I started talking about the first porn that I ever saw, and I still remember the cassette tape. It had a golden label on it.
The golden
And
rod.
it was called The Man with the Golden Rod, and I had to Google it after, and I found it. I'm like, I wasn't making that shit up. But that was one of the ones where
you learned a very valuable lesson that day too, when the camera went off.
oh my god. To be completely
We're
transparent,
not going to talk about that. No,
I'm not going to say what it was, but I use a word that you're not supposed to use anymore, and I didn't know that you can't use, and it was a very big learning lesson, but I was embarrassed, and for a week I was like, I can't believe I've said that, but I didn't know, like, and that's education is so important. Like, I'm going to talk a lot about disability. I didn't know before I was injured, which is another thing we'll get to, or you can backtrack, whatever you want to do. I had a mountain biking accident that left me paralyzed, and now I'm disabled, and I didn't know anything about disability. I didn't know how to talk to people with disabilities. I didn't know how to, act and the right things to say. So that being said, I want to be able to educate people on our platform about those things, and I'm sure that you might find it interesting. You know what I mean? So it's good to like talk about these things that we don't know. Yeah. And make ourselves look like idiots.
I mean, to paint the picture, Danny's telling the story and he's kind of like laughing a little bit, not realizing, and me, Nick, and Amy are sitting there just dumbfounded, and he's kind of like, I'm confused. What's going on? Why isn't anybody laughing?
I'm like, this story slaps, dude.
It did not slap.
It slapped me in the face,
slapped you
dude.
in the face, definitely. All right, give me one or two more.
Oh man, I mean, Mike Soupy was our first guest, and he's a real good friend of mine, and
one of the kindest human beings on the planet.
Yeah, and we just went through battle, but this isn't a sentimental one, but is the Brian Hart episode that made me laugh hysterically, because he was the GM of Ladue, and anybody, if you know that name, you know what we're talking about.
He just aired it all, like he aired it all out.
Yeah, but Jessica Joan was one that my jaw was on the floor.
The Val season 2 just came out on HBO Max.
Yeah.
Yeah, for those of you, Jess is a good friend of ours as well. She was one of the really bravest women who came out publicly against
NXIVM.
Yes,
the
NXIVM cult, and she was the one who really took it down. And I remember she was on Dr. Phil and then gave us an exclusive of her statement in court, which was wild.
Yeah, that was what we weren't recording that.
Yeah,
and
but just her story was just incredible, and yeah, it was just really cool because everybody had something different. Like, I really loved the Jen Riley episode where we really touched on women in the nightlife industry and how they've been drugged, and talking about her friend Kim, who passed away, and the foundation they started, and just it's bullshit how this industry treats women.
Yeah,
and how they're looked at as sex objects instead of human beings. So I love that we touched on that, and I know there's more we wanted to follow up with Jen about. Jared Jeffries was one of my favorite episodes, just because the guys became a good friend of mine, but I remember going to the Garden to watch him as a Nick. So just to hear all the stories that he had from the professional NBA side of things was just wild too. So that was really cool to hear that aspect, how he went from Jordan was his mentor and wouldn't allow him to go places, then go to the Knicks, and then you're out and about partying. Like, that's some wild shit.
And I think that's a great segue, because that's a perfect example of what we want season 2 to be, is that we delved into a different industry, right? Completely different.
Yeah.
It's professional sports. But in professional sports, he had his own run-ins with nightlife.
Yeah.
And like how it affected him there, and the things that he learned. So that's kind of what we want to do with season 2.
Yeah. And then I think we filmed it on the same day, and I remember me, you, and Nick were just on such a high where we had Link Han and Costa Ronan, both very good friends with incredible stories, who were just, Costa on Homeland, The Americans. Link was in 42. So proud of him. Just saw him the other day. He's now one of the main characters on NCSI Hawaii.
That's awesome, and it's. I almost forgot, but when you said it, I was like, everything rushed back to me. The
goosebump feeling.
But I met up with Costa in New York,
yeah,
because I was there doing a reading for the play that I ended up doing later the year. And I sat down with him, and we had like an hour-long conversation, and we talked about the podcast, but those relationships that we made because of we all worked together, but we weren't super tight.
Yeah, and it was really cool when I got to listen back to Costa's episode, and we were just kind of talking about everything, and just the man that is so established right now and was giving us such positive feedback, and was giving us such like praise on the things that we were doing, and how proud he was of us. Costa stopped me from getting beat up multiple times. Him and my buddy Takori, when I would be in nightlife and run my mouth because I knew I had the backing of it. But Costa supported me a lot when I was doing my acting thing. He was so helpful, helped me get into a bunch of showcases, and the guy's just got a heart of gold. So the fact that he takes so much pride in us and he wanted to come on this show. I'm like, that's fucking awesome.
Nicest dude, plays amazing villains on TV.
Yeah,
so
and then
if you haven't seen him, check him out, Costa Ronin. He's on our show season 1, but he's also on tons of TV shows and films.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, my favorite part of the conversation, one of my favorite parts of the conversation with him, this was right after he filmed Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah.
So he told us all about what it was like with Leo Scorsese. With Leo DiCaprio. Same person.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Tarantino, like, that was the coolest fucking thing to hear because I'm such a Tarantino fan and
Right.
I've seen all of those movies. So just really to, hear the backstory of what he got to work on with Tarantino, even having having a smaller role, it was really cool to hear everything that, he was taught and just how all these people are still learning as they're progressing in their careers.
Yeah, he was telling me a story because he was on a show recently, Costa. God, it's escaping me right now. But he was telling me a story how he was offered 2 different shows, and how one was like, I don't want to call out the shows now, but one character was very narrow-minded or not multidimensional, and the other one he could do a lot with, and that's one he went with, even though it wasn't like a better paycheck or whatever. And just to hear those insights of the industry, me being an actor, And that's just another thing that we're going to bring with this is you don't have to just be working in nightlife or partying in nightlife. It's all other things that we bring to the table, and we want to expand on that.
Honestly, man, though, I'm really grateful for this experience, for you, for all the things that we've been doing here. And, like we said, a lot of people were asking us when this was coming back. But the follow-up would be like, when's it coming back? I need it before I go to work. Like, I listen to your show on my way there. I listen to your show on my way home just so I don't feel as stressed, as frustrated. And I think it was really cool that we're making such a difference.
Yeah, it's, it means a lot to know that something you're doing is helping someone else.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, we don't want to be alone. We don't want to feel unloved and alone in our thoughts. So the fact that we can be in there before somebody's stressful day at work.
Yeah.
I mean, that's amazing, man. Hearing that.
Yeah. And like it's, and I say this often, like it lets them know, it's okay to struggle. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to have some downtime and moments, and you're not the only person going through it. So reach out. And that's what we really want to be. We want to be a support. Because that's what the world really needs. The hospitality industry has really gone through it the last couple of years. And there's so many people that are just like, I can't go back. And the way people have been treated, once everybody kind of came back from the pandemic, it's really been an adjustment for a lot of people. There's a lot of new people who are in the industry now that weren't before. So I think it's cool if we can give them some lessons and, things that we have learned and other people that we've had on the show have learned to really, teach people some things.
Yeah, and you want to be like really open. If you want to follow us on our socials and ask us questions, things that you're uncomfortable with, please know that we are there.
Yeah, reach out.
We do respond to things, and we know what you're going through, so don't be afraid to hit us up. And, maybe give us topics, something to talk about, because we'd be happy to put that into the show.
And maybe some of the viewers don't relate to us so well, but we have we have such a variety of people that come on from different walks of life, religions, races, art, like all these people do. And we want to showcase that. We want to show so many of our friends that we came up with in nightlife are doing such cool things right now. Yes. And it's just amazing to see what the support of the community that we've created. I mean, dude, without you, without all the boys, without everybody I've been around, none of this stuff would have fucking existed, because I didn't have people like, what you have is cool. Don't be afraid to tell your story. And now I'm more comfortable than ever because of the support system that was created around things like this. And that's what I'm so grateful we get to share with the world.
Yeah, and on that note as well, it took many years for a lot of our friends to get where they're at now.
Yeah.
It didn't happen. I thought coming to LA, I had all this raw talent and I was good looking. I'm like, well, So is like 1,000 other dudes. And the thing is, just don't give up.
Yeah.
You got to keep at it. If you believe it, if you believe in yourself, as cliche as that shit sounds, it's true.
Yeah.
A lot of our friends who I thought, working alongside with them, I'm like, this motherfucker is not going anywhere.
Nope.
That was actually me.
I'm sure our friends thought about us that way too.
Like, look at this fucker doing
7 o'clock in the morning,
bathroom.
still on the third after party of the night. Like, these
Right.
fuckers ain't going anywhere with their lives.
Exactly. Still in his work clothes and shit. Like 2 days later, not at work.
Go back to work in those same work clothes from 2 days ago.
But yeah, like
degenerate lifestyle.
we lived that lifestyle. So if you're like, oh, these fuckers don't know what we've been there.
Yeah, and like, what's the saying? It takes you 10 years to become an overnight celebrity.
Yeah.
And
overnight
like,
success. Yeah.
I mean, I've been in LA for 10 years now, and I'm just starting to get to the point where I'm like, okay, I can see where I'm going. I can see my vision. I can connect the dots and see as to why. But like you said, if you quit and you give up, you're never gonna fully understand.
Yeah. You
So,
quit, you give up, you go
yeah.
back to your hometown.
Old ways,
and
it's just...
you're going to be there. Like, think about this. If you quit and you go back, put yourself in that situation. You're always going to be looking and searching to what if.
What if?
And do you really want to sit in that,
Yeah.
like, limbo of your mental, like, where I could have been, what I could have done?
Yeah, and we have, like we said, we have so many people around us that are so creative, that are doing such cool things, and they just lack the support or the confidence. So the more you listen in, the more we hope to help you with that. And usually we end the episode on a funny story, which for us we love. But I think doing something different with this season is really wanting to help this and support the community. Give me something that you've learned the last year that's really helped you in that level up.
So what about you? Give me something.
It's a similar aspect. It's pushing past the fear and, being that activist, being that, person. And I think for a really long time, it's been really hard for me to feel comfortable in my own skin, dealing with my anxiety and depression. It's really been a stronghold on me for a long time. But this year I'm like, if I don't do what I want to do now, like I'm afraid it's going to pass me by. So it's like, no matter what it is, I'm pushing through it, no matter what the fear is. And I do such a good job of looking at the world through somebody else's point of view, but I don't ever give myself enough credit. So I'm like, I'm gonna stay in my own skin. I'm gonna be confident, and I'm gonna keep on going. And I've accomplished more this year and really taken everything to the next level. And then you've been at both of my alchemy events, from the first one to the second one. Being on stage and doing all my spoken word and just getting to interact with the crowd. It's one of the coolest feelings I ever have. Like, I get into a zone, I flow, and people are like, where the fuck did that come from? I'm like, I don't know.
Incredible.
I have no idea I just started doing it. It's just like, it was here, and like, people like, it's so captivating. But the coolest part is when people come up to me afterwards and they're like, man, I suffer from a lot of the things that you suffer from, and if you can do that, like, I'm like, you can do it too. You can do whatever you want to do, just push past it. And the amount of people that have told me, like, I wrote a story about you, or I focused one of my projects over you, or just like, you're such an inspiration. I go and I listen to your podcast. I go and I watch all your YouTube videos and Instagram videos and stuff like that. And it's really cool that we get to represent something for multiple communities. So I just learned, like, if you're going to be a voice, then you got to stand tall in what you're doing. And it's really cool that, after all we've been through the years, we're finally fucking standing tall and making the difference we've always wanted to make.
And I got to tell you that I was at that alchemy event where you did your spoken word, and I have heard it, but I've never seen it live, and I've never seen it in front of an audience. And I was looking out. I wasn't looking at you. I did look at you.
Yeah,
I
hope so.
But I also was like looking at the audience, and these people were like in the zone, like you had completely swallowed up the attention in that room, and I could feel people being touched, by what you were saying. So man, I commend you, sir. Handshake, gentleman's shake.
Well, brother, I'm so fucking glad we're back. I can't wait till we show everybody what season 2 is gonna be about. There's a lot of cool shit coming your way. Check us out on YouTube Shorts. Check us out on the gram. Check us out on both of our social media pages and everything. You're about to see Chaos Controlled everywhere. We promise that. So until next time, we'll see you back on the Chaos. Peace.